Welcome to the BEASTwriter podcast. I am your host, Ryan Sakamoto, and today we are going to be discussing Orlando Brown's trade value. So let's get started. Now, for those who are new to subscribing to my channel, thank you for tuning in. For those who already subscribed to my channel, again, thank you to you as well. Be sure for both of you that you turn on the bell notification so you get notified when I go live or when I upload content. I'm also looking at my analytics, and I'm noticing that 82% of you guys have yet to subscribe to my channel, but yet watch all my videos. So be sure to hit the subscribe button in the lower right hand corner of your screen as we stay up to date on all things Beast. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started, and without further ado, we're going to break down Orlando Brown's trade value. Alright, so let's get started, man. In order to really assess the trading partners and realistically what teams would be in play for Orlando Brown Jr., we have to peel back another layer of the onion. I always say peel back another layer of the onion. That's kind of like the term that I've been known for, but let's do that, right? The first layer. Let's look at the scheme fit, right? So the guy is 6'8", 345 pounds, right? 6'8", 345 pounds. When you look at his movement skills and what he does best, it's in close quarters. And that goes back to being a phone booth mauler type of a guy. And what I see in Orlando Brown Jr.'s game is I see him strictly being a power-based run scheme type of a guy, not a zone blocking scheme. It's funny how I'm looking at Twitter, at Facebook, on Google, and I'm Googly searching all this Orlando Brown stuff, and there's people putting out stuff like he is mocked to go or be traded to the Chicago Bears under Bill Lazor's zone blocking scheme, or the Minnesota Vikings under Clint Kubiak's scheme, whose father Gary Kubiak ran his own blocking scheme in Denver. And let's take it a step further. And then you look at another team like the San Francisco 49ers. Oh my gosh. I'm just blown away. No. Those teams traditionally run West Coast or some variation of the West Coast offense, which incorporates a zone blocking scheme. Why would a GM even consider trading for an Orlando Brown that doesn't really fit the scheme? It doesn't make sense. Like, if you're following any of these people that I'm putting out there, I'm just saying, if it was me, I would unfollow them. I would never trust anything they had to say because obviously they don't know football. I'm just saying, like, how can you put stuff out there saying Orlando Brown Jr. would be perfect on these teams unless you're just doing it for clickbait? Like, it doesn't make sense. He's not a zone blocking guy. He's a power run based offensive tackle. Like, it's kind of common sense, bro. Like, I don't know, man. If someone, I don't know. I'm just saying. But anyways, let's get back to Orlando Brown. I just think it's funny. It just kind of makes me upset that people would put random stuff out there, giving the fans a ray of hope when you know damn well that if GM John Lynch or if GM Ryan Pace was to pull a trigger on an Orlando Brown who really doesn't fit the scheme, and then Orlando Brown doesn't do well, and then they're going to blame Orlando Brown when it wasn't his responsibility of where he went. It wasn't his choice of where he went. He just wanted and requested a trade. So anyways, that's for a different story. Anyways, let's get back to what Orlando Brown Jr. brings to the table, right? Well, he's a blindside left tackle. If you remember, if you're not on Twitter, he put out a tweet in 4 words basically requesting a trade, said, I'm a left tackle. And that rubbed the Ravens organization the wrong way. Obviously, Orlando Brown Jr. didn't care because he wants out. He knows that left tackle money is at a premium position. He's going to get paid more than playing right tackle. It is what it is. And the numbers don't lie. You look at guys like David Bakhtiari, who just inked a long-term deal with the Green Bay Packers. He plays left tackle, right? You look at Trent Williams for the San Francisco 49ers. He plays left tackle. Well, look at right tackle money, right? So if you want to compare apples to apples, let's look at all pro money, right? Both those guys I just mentioned are all pros. Now let's look at 2 all pro right tackles, right? Let's look at Jack Conklin from the Cleveland Browns, who came over from the Tennessee Titans 1 year earlier. And now let's roll it over to Mitchell Schwartz, right? For the Kansas City Chiefs. You compare those contracts to what left tackle money is getting with Trent Williams, Silverback, and of course David Bakhtiari, who just set the bar, and it doesn't even compare. So if you're OBJ's agent and you're sitting there and being like, bro, like you played really well in Ronnie Stanley's absence once he went down with that injury because TJ Watt rolled up on it and now he's out with a severe ankle injury, and you filled in admirably moving over from the right side over to the left side. Now you're showing versatility that you can play as a swing tackle, but you can still get it done at left tackle at a very high level, and you already have one Pro Bowl berth and a Pro Bowl alternate in another one. Bro, like we have some leverage here, bro. Like I don't think you should be moving off your spot from left tackle even though Ronnie Stanley comes back, because we get more money, man. Potentially we can get way more money. I get more money, you get more money. It's a business at the end of the day, bro. That's what he's saying. That's what he's telling. OBJ is probably like, you know what? You're right, bro. Let's get paid because I'm still on a rookie deal, bro. I'm a 2018 third round pick out of Oklahoma, and I'm gonna cash in on my second contract because in the NFL, you know, and I know, the NFL stands for not for long, and the money is made in a front-loaded deal in our second contract because we're young. We're about to enter our prime in that second contract. Obviously, it's going to be a 5 to 7 year long-term deal because I'm a Pro Bowl player. Let's do this, man. Let's strike a long-term deal and get left tackle money. So let's request a trade. That's what happens, bro. That's what happens. And now let's peel back another layer of the onion to get to the core. Now that we figured out the scheme fit, because obviously Ronnie Stanley, because OBJ is listed at 6'8", 345 and does majority of his work as a phone booth type of mauler guy. You look at what teams are realistically going to be interested in a guy like OBJ, right? So we can take out the zone blocking scheme teams. We can take on the West Coast, take those out, throw those guys out of the picture. And let's really focus on the nitty gritty and really delve into it, right? Exactly what would it take and exactly what teams will realistically make a play for Ronnie Stanley. You look at power scheme, right? So we peel back the first layer, which is the power-based run scheme, right? He's a scheme fit in the power-based scheme. Now let's peel back another layer of the onion to get to the core as to what teams would actually make a play for him. Well, if you look at it from a draft standpoint and you're building up your mock draft and then your horizontal board, you will know that if you're doing the math or if you're looking at it schematically and analytically, you would know that OBJ, if he was to come, and I'm not talking about Odell Beckham Jr. Anytime I talk about OBJ, it stands for Orlando Brown Jr. If you're not getting that by now, you guys get it? All right, just putting it out there. Okay, so when I say OBJ, it means Orlando Brown Jr. Okay, so when we talk about OBJ, and if he were to come out of this year's draft, he would be the top ranked offensive tackle on my big board, plain and simple, over Penei Sewell out of Oregon, over Rashawn Slater out of Northwestern. So when you take that into account and then you look at the teams who are drafting maybe in the late teens into the 20s and they're mocked based on my current mock draft to draft an offensive tackle, well, you can get a OBJ on a rookie deal, still on a rookie deal, by the way. So you're getting OBJ on a rookie deal just like as if you were getting a rookie contract or a rookie left tackle on a rookie deal. The only difference is the years, right? OBJ came out in 2018. But with that being said, hey, his cap number is on a rookie deal, so he's only due to make $3.6 million. So then you look at it from a financial standpoint and a GM perspective, and you're saying, hey, look, man, like, we could make a play for OBJ. We could do it because financially it makes sense for both of us and it fills a need. And we're not so sure we're going to get a top offensive tackle in this year's draft because, yeah, we have this mock draft, but we don't know how trades are going to play out, what teams are going to move up, what teams are going to move back, and what that does from a player perspective if players get pushed up the board. Because we all know the quarterback position is going to get pushed up this year. But then again, every single year in the draft, there's always another positional unit where there's a run on, right? You always hear the run on. There's a run on wide receivers. There's a run on defensive backs, right? So we hear this all the time. That's going to shake up the draft at the top of the draft. And if you're sitting there in not a favorable draft position in the late teens and early 20s in that first round, you're going to want to be able to get something guaranteed. And OBJ is a guaranteed. He's a Pro Bowl left tackle. And how many of those grow on trees? Not very many. All right. So Again, let's peel back another layer of the onion. So we already talked about scheme fit, the salary cap ramifications on what teams will actually make a play for him. Now let's talk about the actual teams, right? What GMs would make this play? It comes down to 4 with me. Let's start off with the Pittsburgh Steelers. GM Kevin Colbert and Eric DeCosta already struck a deal earlier last year for Chris Wormley. So to say that rivals don't make deals, that's not the case. And GM Eric DeCosta is in his, once he took over for Ozzie Newsome, he's not afraid to make moves. Ozzie Newsome wasn't afraid to make moves either, but he rarely worked with the Steelers for obvious reasons. But it happens. It happens from time to time again, and lightning can strike twice, right? I can see that the Pittsburgh Steelers make a play for him because as my mock draft currently stands, and if you watch my current mock draft, you would know that I had Alex Leatherwood out of Alabama, the left tackle, mocked to the Steelers at number 24. And if you're comparing Alex Leatherwood to OBJ, it's not even a comparison. And with Big Ben needing blindside protector because Alejandro Villanueva is an unrestricted free agent, it makes totally financial sense for you to get a starting left tackle, Pro Bowl left tackle, entering the prime of his career on a rookie deal, and get Big Ben help because all it takes for Big Ben is one hit and his career is probably likely over. You know, he's been banged up the better half of the last 2 years, whether it be his shoulder, his elbow, his legs. The guy's just getting older. He's not Tom Brady. I mean, he's definitely not Tom Brady. So, is he good? Yes. Does he need help? Absolutely. Is the Pittsburgh Steelers going to resign Alejandro Villanueva? Absolutely not. And so you need to fill that void. What better way to just trade away the first round pick, number 24 overall, get something in return, and pick up OBJ? Now you might have to throw in something else based on what the Baltimore Ravens want, which GM Eric DeCosta would probably want more draft capital. Would you throw in maybe a first and maybe a day 2 pick? You know, maybe a third round pick, first and third for Orlando Brown. It can happen. It can happen, especially with the salary cap dropping from 195 to 175. You're going to see a lot of these GMs making plays for draft capital because that's how you build through the draft. But it's even more important now because the cap drops $20 million roughly. And when you do that, the easiest way to fill in those needs is through the draft because they're on rookie deals. Now, if you're still able to get a Pro Bowl left tackle on a rookie deal, entering the prime of his career, where you can extend him long term down the line, it's a match made in heaven for the Pittsburgh Steelers or any team looking for an offensive tackle or a blindside left tackle in a power-based scheme. It makes financial sense. So that's why I say the Pittsburgh Steelers would be a great fit because they have a gaping hole along the blind side. Now, if not the Pittsburgh Steelers, let's move on to another team. Let's talk about the LA Chargers. LA Chargers have obviously Justin Herbert behind center. He set numerous rookie records, NFL Rookie of the Year, so forth. But with that being said, he had little to no help in front of him as far as the offensive line is concerned. And I believe that they should make a play for OBJ simply because he would protect Justin Herbert's blind side. I mean, can you really trust a guy like Trey Pipkins? Can't even get his name right. Trey Pipkins. Can you trust Trey Pipkins? That's the answer. And if you're asking me, I don't trust Trey Pipkins. Why would Justin Herbert trust Trey Pipkins? It just doesn't make sense, bro. Like, why would you trust Trey Pipkins? Like, he's not very good. Like, that's all I'm saying. So, if Tom Telesco, who's not afraid to make moves, obviously he loves drafting offensive linemen. He did it with DJ Fluker out of Alabama. The one thing he loved about DJ Fluker and was enamored with was his behemoth build. The guy was like 6'8", 350 pounds, or whatever the case may be. He was like salivating about his measurables. So, yeah. Lightning could strike twice when it comes to Tom Telesco making a play for a behemoth offensive tackle, protecting the blind side in Orlando Brown Jr., because he's done it in the past. Again, if you're going to look at the future behavior, you have to look at the past behavior because it tells you that history doesn't lie and analytics don't lie. So look for Tom Telesco to possibly make a play there. They obviously hold the number 13th overall pick in my current mock draft. If you watched my podcast earlier, I said that they would draft Christian Darrisaw out of Virginia Tech. However, Christian Darrisaw compared to OBJ, it's not even a question. OBJ is a better play. He's still on a rookie deal. Look for him to be a target in LA. All right. Well, if not the Chargers, if not the Pittsburgh Steelers, let's look at another NFC West team. And no, I'm not talking about the San Francisco 49ers. I'm talking about the Arizona Cardinals. And JP, my man, who always comments on all my videos, has great insight and analysis. Go follow my man JP. He knows his stuff. But JP, this is specifically for you, bro. Like, I'm pretty sure you're happy about this. At number 16, we talked about Najee Harris, and it's kind of on the fence about what the Arizona Cardinals should do if this situation rises. Like, let's say Steve Keim comes in and says, hey, look, man, hey, Cliff, we really need a left tackle. And I know we have DJ Humphries. I mean, we invested a lot of money in DJ Humphries, but Kyler Murray wants his boy from college in OBJ. And then Cliff gonna be like, okay, well, does he fit our scheme? Let me talk to Sean Kugler about that. Where does Sean Kugler come from? He comes from the Pittsburgh Steelers tree. Where does the Pittsburgh Steelers tree come from? The power-based run. That's why you're gonna see a lot of inside zones. They mix it up a lot, and Sean Kugler can use a guy like OBJ in his system, and then you can possibly move over DJ Humphries, maybe even trade the guy. Who knows? But you can't deny the fact that Kyler Murray and OBJ reunion is not in talks right now. You can't say that's not taking place right now. I guarantee OBJ and Kyler Murray are being like, hey, bro, you think I can come to Arizona and play with you? I mean, if you look at what the NFC West is doing, they're trying to build up the pass rush. The Seattle Seahawks traded for Carlos Dunlap as a half rental. We don't know if he's coming back, but he's a half-year rental, and he definitely transformed that defensive line with Jaron Reed. And then you look at the 49ers, they have Nick Bosa coming back. D Ford's probably gone. He'll be a cap casualty, but then you also have guys like, obviously they still have Eric Armstead, Javon Kinlaw, right? And then you look at the LA Rams, obviously they have the best defensive player in all of football in Aaron Donald, and they still have Michael Brockers, who's very underrated, and Sebastian Day. So you look at this team, at these teams within the division, and you need to do all you can to solidify that offensive line. Give Kyler Murray all the help he can get. Obviously, you went after DeAndre Hopkins and fleeced the Houston Texans for the David Johnson deal. Oh my, I'm laughing because I was just wow. But yeah, getting back to this, I'm losing my train of thought. That still just blows my mind. But anyways, getting back to the trade at hand and the trade value for OBJ, yeah, you can see him going to the Cardinals. So look for them to make a play, even though Cliff Kingsbury runs a zone-based run offense. He still mixes it up with power run schemes, and Sean Kugler teaches those techniques. All right, so if not the Cardinals, if not the Steelers, if not the Chargers, well then how about the New England Patriots? They obviously have cap space, but as I stated earlier, they don't need much cap space, or any team doesn't need much cap space to fill him in the cap because he's on a rookie deal, $3.6 million. But he would be a nice fit in New England. If you look at past behavior, the Patriots already made a play for a behemoth left tackle with the San Francisco 49ers for Trent Brown. Oh, I have a Trent Brown story for you guys. Staying on topic, of course, but Trent Brown, I remember asking him what he ate while at Florida because he was so big, and he's like, oh, I didn't have a diet. He's like, I was eating everything. Like when he means everything, he was eating everything. Like, he didn't have a diet. Like gummy bears, like pizza, burrito. He wasn't even on a diet, bro. That's crazy. I was like, bro, that's crazy. If he fine-tuned his diet like Tom Brady, man, he would be a beast year in and year out. It's hard to carry that much weight because your heart is working so much harder to carry on that weight. And but hey, man, the NFL, you got to do what you got to do, bro. So I get it, man. And yeah, but getting back to Trent Brown, the Patriots traded for Trent Brown, right? Even before he was a Pro Bowl player, right? They got him for 1 year. They traded him for a third-round pick, right? And the 49ers drafted Tarvarius Moore. That was the end of that story. But Trent Brown went on to go ahead and win them a Super Bowl. So with that being said, he then moves on to Las Vegas Raiders, and we all know the story there. But lightning can strike twice again here too. Because again, history tells us that Bill Belichick has already made a play for a left tackle behemoth left tackle. And with OBJ wanting a trade, why not trade the number 15 overall pick, or maybe even a day 2 pick, or a couple of day 2 picks, whatever the case may be, however you want to work this deal? Because obviously if you're looking at it from a player's standpoint, there's not much tradable players that provide much value on the New England Patriots right now. And the ones that are, you really don't want to trade those parts. So you're going to have to talk about draft capital. And again, Eric DeCosta loves draft capital. So that's going to be the asking price. Now, what that is, who knows? But as it currently stands, if you're there sitting there at 15 and you're not sold on a guy like Mac Jones, who I have them currently mocked right now, and Nick Saban doesn't give him the green light to draft Mac Jones, does Bill Belichick say, okay, well, we're just going to solidify the offensive line, and Jarrett Stidham, we'll see what we have with that guy another year, right? Buy him another year. And under the system and growth with, McDaniels, and go from there. That's something that could play out, and at least it gives whoever behind center is a blindside left tackle in OBJ. So all these moving parts play a role, but again, if you peel back layers of the onion to get to the core, like I always say to do, you will find the nitty gritty. You will find the stuff that no one is talking about, because no one is talking about this. No one's talking about why OBJ would be good for the Chargers, why he would be good for the Patriots, why he would be good for the Pittsburgh Steelers, why he would be good for the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, you have to connect the dots here. And then not only that, but then let's delve into the past history. History tells us what? That's why we take history in school. You learn from past history. You learn from your mistakes. How do you learn from your mistakes? How do you learn on future behavior if you don't delve into the past? It just makes no sense. Like, you can't just, I'm going to put stuff out there. Yeah, that sounds good. Oh, crap. I just realized that OBJ is not really good in a zone blocking scheme, bruh. Like, too bad it's already on Google SEO, bro. I just think it's funny. Anyways, that'll be it for today. I hope you liked what I had to say. Not throwing shade, just calling it how I see it. If you did, please hit the subscribe button in the lower right hand corner of your screen as you stay up to date on all things Beast. Also, I'll be doing another podcast. If you watch my Twitter receipts today, you will know that I called it. In my earlier podcast, news broke that Deshaun Watson is intrigued by going to the San Francisco 49ers. And what did I say 3 weeks ago? That he was intrigued going to the San Francisco 49ers. I also said, if you watch my Panthers podcast on Edge Brian Burns, on why he would be a smart piece in moving on in a Deshaun Watson deal, because Nick Caserio, would possibly be releasing or trading or wiping their hands clean of JJ Watt. And what happened? JJ Watt was released today. So this is why you follow me. Be in the know before they know. That's what I'm saying. That's my motto. Be in the know before they know. That's the BEASTwriter family community. Drop your comments in the section below, and I'll be sure to respond to you guys in a timely manner. Thank you for tuning in. Have a good night. BEASTwriter out.